My dear temple, Beth Shalom, tonight is Erev Yom Kippur. It is the night that we hear melodies so precious, we hear them only once per year. It is the night that begins this day of atonement, the day we've been working towards, doing our cheshbon hanefesh, our soul accounting, so that we can confront God and enumerate the sins we committed. It is this day, this 25 hours, that we recite words written long ago by generations of our people, and through the wonder of sacred time, make them our own anew. For some of us, doing this is incredibly comfortable. We look forward to Yom Kippur because, for the most part, we know what to expect: the liturgy, the fast, the mood, the music. For others, we are here because someone told us we had to be. A parent, a grandparent, a spouse, maybe even guilt. Some of us are here maybe for the very first time and are excited and nervous. And in the spirit of confession, I do not actually care why you are here. I am just glad that you are. You can keep the reason private. That is because you are important to me, to this congregation, to the Jewish people, and to God. I appreciate that that might be a bit of a challenge to take in and internalize, so let me say it again. You are important. You matter to the Jewish people, and you matter to God, even if you're not sure there is a God. Whatever your personal theology, whatever you believe and do not believe about the possibility of God, all of which, by the way, are Jewish ideas about God, it is love that binds us here together. It is love that brought you here. Love for yourself, love for your family, love for the Jewish people, and love of God. Judaism is all about love. Radical, big, inclusive, sometimes complicated love. Love that urges us to treat the voiceless with kindness. Love that we are commanded to express each time we pray. Love as demonstrated with an intimate partner. Love as described in our texts as the relationship between God and the people Israel. Love, both an action and an emotion that we are compelled to put out into the world by the teachings of our Torah. The act of showing up here on the holiest day of the Jewish year and holding a book in your hand and maybe reciting some of the prayers and songs is a demonstration that through your own free will, we all want to be part of this loving community. I also need to clarify something for all of us. When I say Judaism is all about love, I mean exactly what you think I mean. Love is the foundation of Judaism. It belongs to all of us. This could be a little shocking to hear. We have been acculturated to believe that Christianity is about love, and Judaism, well, it's not. As folks living in a world that is dominated by Christian norms, our Jewish understanding and learning has been overrun by Christian religious ideas. They are so commonplace in our society, they have led us to misunderstand Judaism. Judaism is about love. It says so everywhere in our texts, our liturgy, our ethics, and theology. All of them are about love. In his book, appropriately titled, Judaism is About Love, Shai Held teaches, Jewish liturgy reminds us daily that Jewish law is itself a manifestation of divine love, not a contrast or alternative to it. Further, as Held teaches, Jewish texts push us to love both more deeply and more widely. They help us understand that intimate relationships and families and communities require of us and what they make possible for us. They push us to love our neighbors, to want them to flourish and to contribute in meaningful ways to making that happen. They teach us to see the world with eyes of love and generosity of spirit. They prod us to love the stranger, the outsider, who is so often ignored or cast out or even demonized. They invite us to cultivate compassion so that we can be present with others when they are hurting or suffering. Yes, Judaism is a religion of action. It matters what you do, and it is a religion of emotion, love and law, action and emotion. The Torah gives us 3 dramatic instructions about love. They are ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha, to love God with all our heart and might, as we recite in our liturgy daily. Ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha, to love our neighbor, our co-religionist, others who are part of our covenantal community. And we are to love the stranger, ve'ahavtem et hager, because we know what it means to be a foreigner. We were strangers in Egypt. And each of these directives of action and emotion, one leading to the other in an endless cycle of opportunity to love. The structure of our liturgy creates ways we connect emotion and action into the framework of prayer to connect to God. For example, part of our daily liturgy are the prayers that surround the words of Shema. The prayer immediately preceding the Shema, Ahava Rabbah in the morning and Ahavat Olam in the evening, are bold statements about, you guessed it, love. Ahava Rabbah Ahavtanu, we begin in the morning, translates, you, God, have loved us most lovingly, or deep is your love for us, and with an abounding love you love us. Each time we call out for God's love, we also reciprocate with words of ve'ahavta. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha, you shall love God with all your heart and with all your might. The declaration of Shema Yisrael comes right in the middle. The statement of our covenant with God, a covenant surrounded by love. Covenant, this other core idea of the relationship between the individual and God, is the way we actualize love in the world. A covenant in the biblical context was a defined relationship between sovereign and people. The Israelite covenant removed the need of a ruler of flesh and blood and supplanted it for the relationship between God and the people. Tomorrow morning, we will read words from Deuteronomy that people from every part of Israelite society, every social and economic class, every gender, and the strangers in our encampments are to enter into this covenant with God. And lest we think we're off the hook, it says, I make this covenant with its sanctions, not with you alone, but with those who are standing here with us this day before our God, Adonai, and with those who are not here this day. Every person here, every soul that will ever be Jewish or live as part of a Jewish family is part of this covenant with God. Of course, our understanding of covenant has expanded with thanks to centuries of Jewish theologians. Dr. Eugene Borowitz, a 20th century Reformed Jewish thinker, taught that this does remain a living covenant from the time of the Bible. It has expanded to a threefold relationship. As my friend and teacher, Rabbi Rachel Sabbath Beit Halachmi writes, Borowitz taught, a Jewish self lives in covenant with God, with the Jewish people past, present, and future, and with oneself, because of the absolute aspect of autonomy for the postmodern Jew. At the start of this sermon, I asked you to consider what drew you here tonight. Maybe it was this covenant, this interwoven relationship between you and God as part of the Jewish people that drew you here, maybe even on a cellular level. The covenant which pulls us into our sanctuary, into our reflective practice, is also one that calls us into relationship with the people around us, those we know and those we are yet to meet. If we think of all of our relationships as concentric circles that surround us, ourselves, God, our family, our friends and fellow congregants, the Jewish people, Klal Yisrael, and outward, we can begin to understand that the actions and emotions that we demonstrate to show our humanity and theirs are manifestations of love. Sometimes we realize them more easily if we think of them as synonyms for love. Chen v'chesed u'rachamim, grace, kindness, and mercy. We find ourselves in a time where violence, war, evil, anti-Semitism, pain, fear, and anger are ever present. It is almost inescapable in our news feeds. It is present for our kids as they navigate their school days. It is tragically invading our interactions with one another, where we end up talking past each other instead of a true dialogue. Some of us have become keyboard warriors, sending and receiving emails filled with cruelty and negativity instead of reaching out to engage and build relationship. We as a society need to do better. And on this Kol Nidre night, we must agree to rise above this, to lead with love, because love is the antidote to hate. So, how do we do it? It is taught by Rav Shammai, Mekabel et kol ha'adam b'sever panim yafot. Receive every human being with a good countenance, with a warm smile. And Rav Yishmael taught, V'havi mekabel et kol ha'adam b'simcha. Receive every person with joy. In these beginning days of this new year, what would happen to our lives if, as much as we possibly could, we took this approach when we encountered others? What would happen if, despite whatever's happening for us mentally or emotionally, we tried to begin each interaction with a genuine smile? How might it change us? How might it change them? How might it change our world? Let us become beacons of love. It was told on the holiest day of the year, Yom Kippur, the Sassover rabbis' congregants were sitting in shul waiting for the service to start, but no rabbi. They waited and they waited. One woman decided that she was close enough to her home that she could leave the synagogue quickly, check in on her child, make sure that he was safe and comfortable, and then she could rush back. No one would notice. She ran home, opened the door to her hut, and there, sitting next to her child's crib, was the rabbi, cradling the sleeping child in his arms. He looked up to her and said, "I was rushing to get to shul on time, and I heard crying coming from your house. As I entered the house, I saw that your child was awake and scared. So I rocked him in my arms, and we sang together until he fell asleep. By then, I had forgotten what day it is today." As Rabbi Brad Artson asks, what kind of great tradition tells a story about a rabbi who forgets that it's Yom Kippur? What an amazing heritage recounts the tale of a tzaddik, one of the righteous, who thinks that rocking a baby to sleep is more important than leading services. What a beautiful and wise pathway to understand that it is in holding each other, in singing together, that we fashion the kind of world in which we aspire to live. Let us continue to live and build this loving community together. And let me say to you, I love you. I love being your rabbi. I love our congregation. I love our Judaism, because this is our Judaism. This is our tradition. This is our hope. It all begins with love. Let us be those beacons of love in the world. May we forge ahead into this new year and allow love to emanate from each of us. May we allow the love that flows between us and God in our covenant to transform our lives so that we can be God's loving messengers. May love give us strength when we are weary from the heaviness of our world. May love soften our hearts so that we can greet others with grace, kindness, and compassion, and ask for that to be extended back to us. May our loving God bless each of us, and may we be sealed in the book of life in this new year. Shana tova tikatevu v'techamtenu, ken yehi ratzon.